Chapter 4 Bezewanst. Another opportunity? His life at the temple was mind-numbingly boring, as always. Were it not for the presence of the goddess of light shining rays into his life, he would be completely apathetic by now. After being unfairly thrown into the blasted temple for having too low mana for his status and his mother's death, he was denied his birthright by his remaining family. Only his reliable old sister cared at least somewhat for him, enabling his position as High Bishop. Her continued support also enabled him to get some of the comforts he was supposed to have. But having offerings of sweet fruit or flowers was only the bare minimum, what he deserved after his suffering here. It was barely tolerable at this point. Was this dull and hollow existence really all that was there for him? Another bright light in the darkness was his beloved niece, Georgine. Such a bright child she was. Were it not for the birth of her brother Sylvester, she may very well have become the new Archduchess and his ticket to his rightful place among the nobility. He could not believe what his caring older sister did to her, selling her and his chance at greatness to Arensbach. Another life ruined by the family that condemned him to the life here. At least they could still exchange their mutual hardships via magic letters. It was a small consolation. Life only got worse then. That pampered bastard child of Adalbert, the last Archduke, invaded his territory after his father's death. Supposedly, Sylvester had, as the new Archduke, sent him to the temple as the new high priest to protect his mother from him. Ha! As if his older sister needed protection from some arrogant brat. Truly, exactly what he needed in his rotten life. A pompous former Archduke candidate disrupting his life even more, always reminding him of the life he could have had every time he laid his eyes on him. Great. He was not fooled. This was just an attempt to make his life even more miserable by disrupting his business, preventing his rightful lifestyle here at the temple. He did not miss every opportunity to put this upstart in his place wherever he could. At least that was something. Then another light graced his really life here at the temple. The newly born daughter of an archnoble family of his sister's faction was thrown to a life in the temple because of her low mana, just like his family had once done to him. Just another unfortunate soul joining the misery here. At first he was peeved at the timing. It meant missing his chance to acquire another delectable flower in the form of Jenny. Young Sister Christine just got called back by her family from the temple before her baptism to leave the temple's protection. Protection, they called it. Oh, how he envied her and the others for that opportunity. Even if it was just to compensate for the mana drought caused by the Civil War, he would take any excuse at this point. Just before departing, Christine gracefully gifted her now former attendants to the baby girl as her new aides. He could do nothing but smile as it all happened, because this made the transition that much easier for all parties involved. Maddening. He just smiled and accepted, and it was a loss for sure, but he had had worse. It was not until her fourth spring after joining that he got slightly curious about the girl. One of her attendants asked his permission to borrow a book from the book room for her young mistress to read. A book to read for a 4-year-old girl? What madness was this? His interest piqued now. The young grey told him the most wondrous tale he ever heard. The young girl could already read and write at the end of her third winter. Her attendants had no new material for her to read, and this request was their next step to pacify their charge. It was absurd. He allowed the borrowing under the condition of meeting the young girl to personally verify their claims. He left to meet them 2 days later, stopping at the book room to get a book for the girl. One of his aides carried it as he made his way to her chambers. Upon meeting the young girl, the first time since her introduction as a baby, he nearly did a double take. She was like a child version of Goddess Maschinora. He had just seen her image in the book room as it held her statue. Flowing midnight blue hair framing a childish but quite pretty face. Golden eyes like waxy full moons sparkled with obvious joy at seeing the book he brought. What? It took him no more time than a bell to verify their claims. The girl was indeed capable in reading and even writing at the tender age of 4, among other things like using number calculation. She was obviously a genius. If not for her mana, she would excel possibly even in noble society, as she was an arch-noble daughter after all. But wait. If her mana is the issue, could he... Why not? He was the High Bishop, the highest authority, the law. His mind made up, he sent one of his attendants to fetch Shutsaria's shield. Explaining to her that he nearly forgot to check her mana in his review was no trouble at all. The result was stunning. She had more than enough mana for her age. Gods, it was even more than he dared hope. She was truly blessed by the gods. This would do. Oh yes, this could work splendidly. The gods granted him another chance at least. He would hold his hand protectively over this girl, win her trust, just like with his lovely niece, and in time would contact her birth parents to reinstate her before her baptism. The higher she could climb, the better. Maybe reach the archducal family, or possibly even a first wife. Maybe he could finally escape the temple then, and, with her gratitude, take his rightful place at last. It surely was a long shot, but what could he possibly lose? The answer was nothing. And in return win everything he ever wanted. Brilliant. Just at the beginning of the girl's 5th winter season, and her first participation in the upcoming dedication ritual, she fell sick with a fever. His worries about his plans for her were unfounded, as the girl recovered quickly enough. He sent Delia, a young girl her age, who was more likely to earn her trust, to set up a meeting just before the ritual to access her. Upon meeting her, he not only was assured of his investment's health, he even gained a chance to plant another pair of eyes and ears on that unpleasant former Archduke candidate that invaded his realm. The gods truly flavored him that day. Her ability to bargain for more material to read in return was just another confirmation of her potential to rise in noble society. It was such an amusing plea, he granted it for free this time. It was just more possible goodwill, cheaply purchased. Another step in his role of loving uncle figure was to guide her for the steps in the dedication ritual. He sent someone to fetch her and made his way to the chamber, where he met her and began his instructions for her to follow. Not only did she learn the required steps quickly, she even managed to remember the necessary prayer on her first try. A genius indeed. He could also verify her mana had grown even more than he could possibly have dreamt of. She could certainly match his capacity long enough to fill multiple chalices in a reasonable enough time together. Congratulating her, he sent her to rest for tomorrow's ceremony. His investment in little Rosamine was growing splendidly. It was only a matter of time now. Good. He could wait.